They're just about manageable. They weigh about 45 kilos. So when they're placed on the beach, hopefully no one's going to walk away with them. But if they want to walk away with them, they certainly can. That's 3, 4. I'm going to put the rest over there. I've got one more to put down here for now. I will be bringing more of them. There are 42 in all to be put down in various locations along the south coast. She's over there. Looking seaward. Yeah. Enough. It's a story of this location as much as anything else, and me, my response to events in this location 100 years ago. Just after 1 o'clock on the morning of April the 15th, 1919, a German U-boat, one of 8 which was being towed to France, broke its hawser line and washed ashore on this spot at a jaunty angle opposite Harold Place here. So, which is why I've put this piece here. It relates to that. It relates to the people that were involved in it. The 2 Coast Guards, William Hurd and W. Moore, who I've subsequently found is called Henry Moore, who went inside. They were charged to look after this, secure the submarine, and they went inside to check. No one was inside it, and probably going too far down into the bowels of the submarine, they breathed in toxic gas, chlorine gas, chemical reaction between the batteries and the seawater that obviously got into the submarine whilst it was being washed ashore. Probably why it broke its hawser line. And they subsequently became very ill. Within a matter of weeks, they were both bedbound. The cause of death, their illness was initially put down to pneumonia, but it was found at an inquest of Hurd that they were probably, it was probably due to the chlorine gas that inhaled, accidentally going inside the submarine to secure it. When he died, he was in the presence of his daughter, 16-year-old Nellie Moore. And I thought that's quite an interesting story to try and investigate, elaborate on, develop as a narrative, because that's quite a profound thing for a 16-year-old girl to have to have dealt with. These were people, real people's lives. I'm interested in people's lives, I suppose. Like a lot of people, you inevitably be present at the death of someone you know, or even the death of complete strangers, and it's always a difficult and profoundly moving experience, as I can attest from my own experiences. So that's the starting point, one of the starting points for it, which is why it's here on this particular location, because location matters. At a time when there was a massive social change taking place, where people's attitudes towards disability, to the rights of people, not just the right to vote, which came in for young men as well as women around the time of this event, but also of disabled people who had been marginalised, still are marginalised to a great extent. And I know this from experience because I'm a carer for my son who's profoundly disabled. And this is my connection with Chailey Heritage and the initial Chailey Hospital down there, where young boys were taken out wheeled out in their beds to take the sun and the sea air as a restorative. This is why I've created these young people, these submariners, these figurative sculptures which are half machine. They've got arms which are made out of the cast tines of an anchor. Saw a little hollow that was meant to be there. I make the figures in clay, make a latex mold or silicon mold, and cast them in Herculite plaster, and then leave them outside. Herculites are very resistant, not quite weatherproof, because you can see what happens to it. It sort of pits and scars with the rainwater. It starts to dissolve it, but it takes a long time for them to actually disintegrate. But I like that aging process. And here they are laying in their bunks with their snorkels and their anchor tine arms, which give them again a sort of unfamiliarity, a mechanical, inhuman quality, slightly surreal, dreamlike quality. Someone has already grabbed hold of them and snapped the arms off one of them, but that's part of the piece, really. It becomes part of the piece. In order to get the planning permission, I had to agree to cover it in lots of safety devices. It's scaffolding, because it was cheap and I wanted to make this sort of industrial, brutal look about it. And it echoes the pier over there, which is, again, the structure of the pier is actually very, very regular but utilitarian. But the new, you can almost imagine, it only occurred to me this morning that the new building on it actually looks like a submarine. And also, again, it's quite a prescient piece in a way, because I put some, almost as a joke, I put some danger of infection signs on it. Because several people, during the installation, obviously made the assumption that it was something to do with COVID, something to do with what's happening now with people in masks and the fear of breathing each other's air, and these invalids in beds, which that connotation to it. But again, it harks back to the fact that these men went into this ship unknowingly breathing in foul air, toxic air, which killed them. I like the way it sort of reveals itself, and you can take strands of it and threads of it and include other people's lives, and it leads you to an understanding of the time, of the people, the frame of mind, the state of technology, the state of health and safety at the time. The fact that this submarine landed on the beach, and the first thing they did was erect a 10-meter ladder to get on, well, longer really, because to get onto the top of this submarine, which is 10 meters high, and clamber up it. And then they charged the local council, realizing they could profit from this, charged 6p to go up and sit on top of it.
Thank you.
Oh. And this seahorse is just a continuation of the tetrapod pieces I started to make 5 years ago, which is a central core of these pieces, a tetrahedron. And it was taken, or it is inspired by the sea defences you get along the coast, made of concrete, made in their hundreds and thousands, which are poured into areas to stop coastal drift, coastal erosion, or in some cases the land build, where they're amassed and then built onto, so you can reclaim some of the sea. And there was a nice metaphor for foundational ideas that one has, that one adheres to, which give you some grounding in reality. Suit this one. I found a feather when I dropped the other one. And look at that, I dropped the nail and a nail. Memento. Yeah, this tetrapod form is a kind of signature piece for me. And it always involves a small child and the bell and rope. But they represent a sort of a point of location, a stability. They're a shape which you cannot tip over. And most of them have, again, this small child on them. This small child I found in a flea market. This is a casting, obviously. The original one is just this weather-worn stone child that looked so forlorn and broken. And I was, how can I put it? I was kind of overcome with emotion when I saw it, put it that way, because this just inert thing that I found, this worn out weather. I don't even know where it was from, but it took me back to the time when my son was born. Because he had a traumatic birth, which has left him disabled, profoundly disabled. And I came across this thing quite by accident in a flea market, and it took my breath away because the colour of the stone is a composite material. It's not actually carved stone, it's a composite material. Just this greyness just so took me back to the moment when this scrap of life, this half-dead thing, my son, was born. And it was too profound a thing not to do something with. So I devised this way of making these objects, these very stable, untoppable objects, which both represent a foundation, a footing, but also a protection, a defense. Too late. Next time. Oh, there you go. Perfect. 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 There will come soft rains and the smell of the ground, and swallows circling with their shimmering sound. and frogs in pools singing at night, and wild plum trees in tremulous white. Robins will wear their feathery fire, whistling their whims on a low fence wire. But not one will know about the war, not one will care at last when it is done. One will mind neither bird nor tree if mankind perished utterly. And spring herself, when she woke at dawn, would scarcely know that we were gone.